Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we think is going to be happening next, and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you'll find down there. And if you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the Patreon services as well in the description below. We cover a lot more in the Discord server for our Patreon members, everything from AMAs twice weekly, project reviews, little bits of trading here and there, and a whole host of additional benefits. So why not check that out if that sounds of interest to you. Okay, let's make a start with Cardano. This is ADA paired up with USDT. On the hourly chart, Binance is the data source. Now, on the grand scheme of things, this is just one kind of scenario that's kind of I've got mapped out. There's many different ways of kind of looking at it and counting it. And for me, I'm looking at this as our little wave 3 down here. Okay, and we actually kind of scoped out this for a little trade entry, which we did very well on. And we're looking at the wave 4. Now, the wave 4 here, at 39.89. This is a typical wave 4 scenario. There's no guarantee that it goes all the way up into these levels, but this is where typically you would find a wave 4 retracing into. Now, I do want to kind of just highlight on this scale that the wave 2 was a little bit short on its typical kind of move. Okay, so we should be kind of, a little bit cautious from time to time to see whether or not we are tracking correctly. Okay, and we're also going to try to work in here. This could be a little mini wave 4 of an extended wave 5 as well. This is also something that I am considering. So there still could be a pullback before this wave 4 actually starts. So let me just break that down and show you what that looks like. Okay, so for example, I have my wave 3 ending here, but this could actually just be a wave 3 inside this wave 3, and we've still got to come down a little bit lower. Okay, so for example, that would look like this. We come down into wave 1, we go up into wave 2, down into wave 3, up into wave 4, and then down into wave 5. Okay, now if that is the case, then what we'd want to do is we'd want to measure this distance to find where we've retraced into. Okay, and if we do that, we'd measure this entire wave 3 here, and we can see that we've actually retraced up towards the 618. And now that's actually deeper than the typical kind of retracement for a wave 4. Normally you're looking at 38.2%, but actually it's gone much, much deeper than that. So when we consider these things, we have to consider, there's a potential wave count here that looks like we could still move down and still be within wave 3 before we've even started this little wave 4 up towards that 39-cent range. Okay, so we have to be a little bit cautious from time to time as to knowing exactly where things stand, specifically on the wave count. And when there's a lot of volatility, specifically in Cardano and the way that it has moved recently, we should definitely be, open to the idea that maybe there's another kind of step in a direction that we just haven't really kind of foreseen. Okay, so we've been a little bit cautious with that, and essentially if we are tracking this current wave 4 here, then we are going to be moving down into this little range here, which would put us at about 29 to 31 cent. And all of which would actually encompass this larger wave 3 area, okay, and then another wave 4 with a 5th wave to come down lower after that. Okay, so you can kind of see that we're going down in a very impulsive structure, okay, but this structure is, in my opinion, just looking like a zigzag at the moment, but it could turn into something more if we come down past 30.26. Okay, that would actually turn us into a bigger 53535, and we could talk about coming down towards the 15-cent range. Okay, so we don't want to scare people, but there's some pretty good accumulative areas for Cardano as we kind of coming to the end of this kind of bear market, right? Now, obviously, the bottom was not in for Cardano. I know that kind of splits opinions with people saying that the bottom is in, but they don't understand that there are 21,000 different coins. The bottom is not in for all of them. They choose to believe that it is for some and not others. But, we can't just say blindly that the bottom is in for all 21,000. Now, here we have kind of scoped out a couple of things, right? Obviously, we had our little entry zone down here. We took that trade, and I came out of it because, we're looking at this area here with interest, okay? So this particular area is looking like we have some kind of supply and resistance, okay, or demand and supply zones, okay, support and resistance. And in here, these are areas that we kind of consolidated on before. So here, for example, we came down, we bounced in this area, we found resistance, and then we broke this area. We pushed up, we've turned this into resistance, we came back through, back into resistance, back in, and now we're trying to turn this to support. Up here, still resistance, okay? Now we're pulling back down. I'm not too confident that this little area is going to hold. Now, from an Elliott wave theory point of view, what do we actually see going on here? Well, we can kind of tidy this up a little bit and go, look, we got 1, 2, and 3. That's pretty much standard. There isn't anything too much to worry about that. And all of that could be inside this kind of structure here, right? So we could be looking at this as either complete or still some more room in the tank. And if it is more room in the tank, we'd also have to look at it as an A wave up, which contains these 3 waves. Got to come down into a 3-wave move down, and then we've got to go up into potentially 3 or 5 waves, right? And all of that can then be wrapped up inside a larger A, B, and C, right? So there's a few things to think about, but we did notice that this is an area of consolidation. Now, whether or not this is a wave 4 before coming down into a 5th wave to finish off our wave 3 before we actually do this wave 4, that's a possible. Or we are just moving up into that wave 4 and it's just going to fall short because I don't think it's really got the momentum behind the price action. Okay, not in the same way that it did down here. This was a really obvious trade opportunity, okay, and I really like it when these things are so clear that you can kind of take advantage of them. But when the waters kind of get muddied up like this and you're just ranging like bouncing between these 2 areas, for example, it becomes quite difficult to be really predictive over it, okay? And we can argue that maybe there's some kind of head and shoulder pattern and there's a break to that. You could also argue it's a cup and handle pattern, and we broke up for that. But essentially, what I'm looking at here is supply and resistance. Supply and resistance being here, and demand and support being here, and we're just ranging in this range just in between these 2 levels, okay? So, and this is basically, in my mind, shows me weakness within the ADA price action on the short time frames, and that also shows in the stochastic RSIs. So, for example, we're correcting down quite nicely on the 1 hour, so again, we'll expect some volatility in the price action here, but on this hourly chart, we're looking for correction over the next few hours, and then over here on the 4 hour and 8 hour, we're already overbought. Okay, so we're showing weakness within those time frames. The daily is actually not too bad. The daily's got some progression to it. So what we could be looking at is this move to the downside to finish off that 5th wave. And my wave counts here might just have to encompass this extended 5th wave. And then we have this run to the upside. Or we do a really small kind of correction in here, and then we can rally up again. But I still think that we're going to fall short at this point on that 39.89, specifically because of where or how this price action's been moving and basically wiping out the momentum far too fast. I would have seen this as a little bit stronger of a move if we were to target out 39.89 in its entirety. That being said, I do think we're going to see some volatility on Cardano around here, and wherever this 4th wave does land, it just means that our 5th wave target is going to change a little bit. Now, this is the area of the chart where we're to experience some extreme levels of volatility. Okay, so this is a fantastic opportunity for trading and building bigger ADA positions. Essentially, whether we go up to this high point or not is up for debate. There should be a pullback to the downside, and then another push to the upside, and then another big pull to the downside, right? And it's that volatility that you can capture and trade on that can basically increase your ADA position. Now, if you want to know more about that, then do join the Patreon services where we talk about strategies and we talk about the trading aspect of crypto and how to build positions whilst actively getting involved in the space. Now, other than that, Cardano's price action seems to just be wanting to kind of self-correct itself here and potentially move on up a little bit more. So let's kind of go with the premise that we can have a little bit more of a push to the upside. And if we take this existing low down here, then we'll be looking at maybe 36.61. And then, of course, we take a look at this area and we think, okay, well, what does this actually mean? Well, we had this area of consolidation all around here. So we could be looking at this interesting range, approximately, I'm going to draw this little box in, I think ones that make the most amount of interest to me are going to be here. Okay, so if I pull that across, you can kind of see that resonates reasonably well. And, you know, there's still a reasonable amount, of volatility in there. In fact, I might actually just put it to the 88.2% and there. So I think that's going to be a range that I would focus in on if we are to break to the upside. So under a 3-wave structure, we would have to look at it like this. Okay, and we would move up into that range there. Inside our little current structure, I'm still expecting to move to the downside, and then that can pull back in and then move back up again and kind of get us into this range. Okay, so if that's kind of like the best case scenario here, falling short of that target, but I do think that would actually then tie up quite nicely. Now, obviously, this could potentially create an overlap with this particular area here. And again, that would create an invalidation of this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there, if that does happen, then obviously that's going to be the invalid count, and we'll have to be inside this wave 4 here at this particular point in time. Okay, so we'll keep a close eye on it, but that's kind of where I think Cardano sits at this point in time. And if you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, and do join us down in Discord. I'll be live on Twitch shortly after this video goes live on YouTube, and to talk everything Bitcoin and Ethereum. So do join me over there, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.